All right, let's unpack what's been happening globally. It's quite a dynamic picture right now. We're seeing intense battlefield shifts, some surprising political moves, major summits, and these really big human migration stories, all unfolding.
It's a lot to track, definitely.
Yeah, so our mission here in this deep dive is simple. We've got a stack of recent sources, mostly covering events from July 6th and 7th, and we're going to pull out the most important insights for you.
Kind of a shortcut to getting up to speed.
Exactly. Think of it as your quick guide to being really well-informed on some critical world developments.
We'll help you understand what's truly significant, maybe offer a few surprising details, and give you the context needed to make sense of it all.
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
Right.
Let's start with, well, the tough reality on the ground in Ukraine. The human cost is just stark. Ukrainian authorities reported on July 6th at least 5 civilians killed, 10 injured.
Yeah, in Russian bombardments.
Yeah.
And that's across Donetsk and Kherson oblasts.
And these aren't just stray shells, are they? The target seems specific.
It appears so. The reports we have say Russian military efforts were aimed at residential buildings, social infrastructure, basic services.
So daily life things.
Exactly. We're talking at least 6 houses damaged, 5 apartment buildings, a service station, even a garage with cars inside. It really paints a picture of the direct impact.
It does. And beyond the civilian impact, what about the actual fighting, the front lines? We're hearing about Russian advances near Dobropilya. Is this like a new strategy?
It seems to be. Analysts are looking at this, especially in relation to Ukraine's fortress belt.
Yeah.
You know, those heavily fortified cities making up their defensive line.
Wait, the backbone.
So instead of hitting those head on, which is incredibly costly, the thinking is Russia might be trying to go around them.
Circumvent them.
Yes. Put pressure on the flanks, force Ukrainian troops to pull back from those strongholds without a direct high-casualty assault.
Is there evidence for this?
Well, there are geolocated images from July 6th showing a modest Russian advance southwest of Vodan. That's in the northeast Kupiansk area.
Yeah.
It fits this idea of gradually wearing down the lines laterally.
Okay. Meanwhile, Ukraine's not just defending, they're hitting back, right?
Yeah.
With drones. Deep into Russia.
Oh, yeah. Russia's Ministry of Defense claimed its air defenses took down 120 Ukrainian drones just overnight into the 7th, mostly over border regions, as you'd expect.
Which regions?
They mentioned 30 over Bryansk, 29 over Kursk, 17 over Belgorod, all bordering Ukraine.
Makes sense.
But interestingly, another 18 were downed over Oryol Oblast.
Which isn't on the border.
Right. And it's known for its oil installations, so that suggests a specific targeting goal there. It was disruptive enough that Russia temporarily restricted flights at major airports. St. Petersburg, Moscow, others.
Wow. For safety, I assume?
Yes, though they said restrictions were lifted by the morning of July 7th. But there's one Ukrainian strike that really caught our eye. The Ukrainian General Staff reported hitting the Avenir Progress factory. It's in Cheboksary, in the Chuvash Republic.
Okay, what's significant about that specific factory?
It produces something called Kumeta, adaptive antennas.
Kumeta.
Yeah. And these aren't just random parts. They are absolutely vital components for some of Russia's most important high-precision weapons.
Like what?
Think Shahed drones, Iskander cruise missiles, those KAB-guided bombs.
Yeah.
So hitting this factory isn't just property damage.
It's a direct hit on their ability to make these advanced weapons.
Precisely. It's a very strategic move to undermine Russia's military production, hitting them where it really hurts their capabilities.
Okay, that's a major development. Now, shifting focus slightly, but sticking with high-tech threats.
Yeah.
The Middle East. Things are escalating there too, right?
Yes, particularly with the Houthi group in Yemen. They made a pretty bold claim.
What was that?
They announced they attacked Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. They usually call it Lod, using something they call a Palestine II hypersonic ballistic missile.
Hypersonic, that's advanced.
Extremely. Their spokesperson, Yahya Sari, claimed the operation was successful, hit the target, even forced the airport to suspend operations temporarily.
And Israel's response, did they confirm anything?
Well, on Sunday morning, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, reported they did intercept a missile coming from Yemen. Air raid sirens went off in several cities.
So something was definitely fired.
Yes. The actual damage level at the airport might be unclear or perhaps minimal if intercepted successfully, but the Houthi message is loud and clear.
Which is?
Escalation. Showing off what they claim is a new, advanced capability. Sending a signal.
But hang on, hypersonic missiles, that's not technology a group like the Houthis likely develops on their own, is it?
That's the critical question, isn't it? The expertise required is immense.
Yeah.
It strongly suggests external support.
And the obvious suspect would be?
Iran. It points pretty directly towards Iranian involvement in providing this kind of advanced weaponry.
Which really raises the stakes for the whole region.
Absolutely. It signals a transfer of very dangerous capabilities to proxy groups. That's a significant escalation.
Okay, let's pivot from direct conflict zones to global politics and economics. Summits, new players shaking things up. First, the BRICS summit.
Right. That was happening in Rio de Janeiro, July 6th and 7th.
And notable attendance.
Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov was there in person, leading their delegation. President Putin was expected to join remotely via video link.
And what was on the agenda? The usual.
It covered a lot of ground. 3 main areas: politics and security, economy and finance, and cultural humanitarian issues.
But given everything going on, I imagine some topics were more central.
Definitely. Security and trade seemed particularly important this time. But they also touched on health, investment, climate change, AI, even international peace, a broad scope.
Interesting. Now, staying with global players, but shifting to something quite unexpected. Elon Musk?
Ah, yes.
Big news there.
He just announced he's creating a new political party in the U.S., the American Party. Yeah, that came seemingly out of nowhere. Well, almost. It was just a day after he ran that poll on X, asking if the U.S. needed a new party.
And people said yes, I gather.
Apparently so. He confirmed it on Saturday. Said something like it was time to return freedom to the American people.
What's the timing here? Any context?
Well, it came right after President Trump sanctioned a new package of spending cuts. And Musk had been very vocal criticizing those cuts.
Right. Didn't he used to be involved with the administration on spending?
He was. He actually headed a government department focused on cutting public spending previously. And he'd contributed huge amounts, hundreds of millions, to Trump's re-election campaign.
So he seems unhappy with how things turned out.
That seems to be the read. Like his previous political investments didn't quite get him the results he wanted, perhaps.
And this announcement isn't just political noise, right? It's having real-world effects on markets.
Immediately, an investment firm, Azoria Partners, announced they're postponing the listing of a Tesla-linked index fund.
Because of this.
That's what their CEO said. The uncertainty around Musk's political goals, quote, shakes the confidence of shareholders. Apparently, they expected him to refocus on Tesla after he left his government role back in May.
And Tesla stock hasn't been doing great anyway, has it?
No, it struggled. It was near $490 back in December after the re-election, but lost over half its value by April. Closed last week around $315. So this adds another layer of uncertainty for investors.
It's a huge move trying to launch a third party in the U.S. What are the odds, realistically?
Well, history's not on his side. Breaking that 160-year dominance of the Republicans and Democrats is a monumental task.
Especially with an incumbent president.
Right. Even with controversial policies, Trump still holds an approval rating over 40%. It gets framed, as richest man versus most powerful president.
A dramatic narrative.
Very. But whether Musk can actually win this political fight, that remains a very open question, a real uphill battle.
Yeah. Okay. Let's shift again to a deeply concerning humanitarian issue, the situation for Afghan migrants in Iran.
Yes. A critical deadline just passed. Sunday, July 7th. That was the date for Afghan migrants and refugees to voluntarily leave Iran.
Or face forced expulsion.
That's been the policy stated since March. Anyone without permission to remain must leave or they'll be forced out.
Do we have numbers on how many people this affects?
The scale is huge. UN data shows over 7,000 Afghans have already left since March. But get this, over 230,000 crossed back into Afghanistan just in June. June alone.
Wow. And how many are still in Iran?
It's estimated around 4 million Afghans are still hosted in Iran. Many have lived there for decades. It's a massive, long-established community.
What's Iran's official line on this? Are they saying they're targeting Afghans specifically?
They deny specifically targeting Afghans.
Yeah.
Their spokesperson, Fatima Morjarani, said Iran has always tried to be a good host.
Oh.
But she said national security comes first and illegal citizens need to return to their countries.
That phrasing. Illegal citizens need to return. It sounds familiar.
It's quite striking, isn't it? There's a noticeable similarity in the rhetoric and policy approach between Iran's stance here and, well, the current U.S. administration's approach to migration.
Focusing on national security, the need for undocumented people to return.
Exactly. It raises questions about how different nations, even with very different political systems, are grappling with mass migration and framing it in terms of security, especially towards populations who might have been there a long time.
A difficult situation with profound human consequences.
Absolutely.
So wrapping this up, we've covered a lot. The brutal, shifting conflict in Ukraine, these high-tech Houthi missile claims and the Iran connection, the BRICS summit dynamics, Elon Musk's political gamble and its market ripples, and this heartbreaking Afghan migrant crisis in Iran.
It's a snapshot of a very interconnected, very volatile world right now.
It really is. And these things, they might seem disparate, but as you can see, they ripple outwards. They shape the geopolitics, the economics, the human stories that impact you, often in ways we don't immediately realize.
That's right. They're all linked.
So maybe a final thought for you to consider. As we watch powerful nations, influential figures, and advanced tech clash, and we see the very real human cost of these global policies, like with the Afghan migrants, what does all this tell us?
Especially the rise of non-state actors like the Houthis, seemingly wielding very advanced weapons, and just the sheer scale of people moving across borders. What does that suggest about how power itself is changing, about responsibility, about how interconnected we truly are in the 21st century?
Definitely something to mull over. A lot happening and a lot to keep watching.